Please, listen to me. My story will probably sound insane. Most likely no one will believe me, but I have to tell it to someone. I'm writing these words right now, and the horror leaning over my shoulder is whispering approvingly into my ear. I stopped fearing that whisper a long time ago. Fear faded, leaving behind exhaustion and a crushing sense of hopelessness. I think it wants me to tell this, or maybe it simply doesn't care. It's a sad thing, being alone. No one notices when a person disappears. No one except it hears the quiet whisper in an empty apartment. No one sees the shadows gathering in the corners, too dark, too still, too alive. I used to be someone who never felt lonely around myself. My solitude never bothered me, until everything went wrong. At first, my apartment just became darker. The lamps couldn't drive the shadows away. It felt like every bulb suddenly lost half its power. I blamed the wiring. I shouldn't have. Then the sounds began fading, not disappearing, just retreating, like the eerie silence before a storm. No birds, no distant hum of the city, just that ringing stillness. And the growing twilight in my home made it worse. As a convinced skeptic, I ignored it, pretended it didn't matter. My world cracked when the whisper appeared. At first it was more like a rustle, like wind pushing autumn leaves across the pavement, faint, elusive, as if someone impossibly far away was breathing heavily. I was afraid then, truly afraid, but it was already too late. I began losing time. I would sit at my desk, then suddenly find myself curled up in a corner, rocking back and forth, or lying on the floor, arms spread like Da Vinci's sketch, staring blankly at the ceiling. And the worst part was the presence behind me, invisible, cold hands brushing my neck. Then, another blackout. Soon, I felt that hand on my shoulder constantly. I was a puppet in the hands of someone or something. It tugged the strings, and I moved the way it wanted. And then, the rustle became a whisper. The words split apart. Some I understood, some I still can't, but I understood enough. Imagine that loneliness doesn't just attract something from beyond, it drags it in, like a magnet pulling something out of its own world. Now imagine what that creature feels, torn from its reality and thrown into ours, a world too bright, too loud, too alive. You're terrified, you're furious, enraged by your own powerlessness, unable to return home. Connected to a fragile human, you start reshaping their surroundings. Little things first, light, shadows, sound, and when you've carved out a space you can tolerate, it's time to bare your teeth, to take control, to steal this weak body, and I don't know what it planned to do once it fully possessed me. The whisper sped up, emotions spilling over. All I grasped was one thing. Its hatred burned hotter than anything human. The next blackout was the worst. I woke up at night, in the middle of the street. The last thing I remembered was cooking dinner at sunset. My fingers were smeared with something vile, and there was a satisfied grin frozen on my face, the kind a cruel child wears after torturing some helpless animal. I can't let this continue. I don't know what it will do next. What if I wake up with blood on my hands, standing over a body? Tonight I made my decision. I won't let it out. The approving whisper behind me twisted into furious hissing. But right now, it's powerless. I've tracked the rhythm of its strength, and I know this moment is the only moment it can't seize control. The noose hanging from the ceiling hook sways gently. The hissing won't stop, my ears might start bleeding if it gets any louder. I will leave it here, trapped in this world without a shell, without the body that anchors it. This is the only way to escape, the only way to kill it. Yes, I've learned a lot during our forced coexistence. All that's left is to tighten the rope around my neck and step off the chair. I won't let it out. Do you need a bag? Your daughter will die soon. Items on sale. The cashier methodically scanned the groceries. What? What did you say? Maria dropped her wallet. I said, do you need a bag? Items on sale. Maria left the store. She let out a heavy sigh and called her daughter. Mom, after class, I'm going to the movies with the girls, okay? Yes? All right, I'll see you later. I'm in the cafeteria. My turn came. The woman trudged wearily home. Strange things had been happening for months. Strangers kept repeating the same phrase, almost as if they didn't hear themselves, just like the cashier in the store. Maria could swear she heard, "Your daughter will die soon." She fumbled with the keys at her front door. "Maria, hi," her neighbor called cheerfully. "Remember when you recommended some remedy for—" What happened? Maria turned to her neighbor, tear-streaked, and sobbed. "Inna, everything is wrong." Rubbing her eyes and sighing heavily, Maria told her everything. By chance, the women had become close friends. They had been families together for 10 years, moving into this building around the same time. Their children and husbands got along well. "Oh, this week, I've heard it for the 3rd time. Your daughter will die soon. Is this a warning? What does it mean?" Inna brushed a stray lock of hair from her forehead. At that moment, another apartment door opened, and an old woman peered onto the landing. "You, Maria, need a good witch. She will sort it out." "What witch?" Inna wrinkled her freckled nose. "Maria, remember how you went to all the witches, sorcerers and psychics? Remember trying to find your relatives? And what? No one helped?" Maria lowered her eyes. She had wanted to find her family or friends, anyone who knew her before. "All right, Maria, stop panicking. Come by this evening. We'll discuss everything." Inna disappeared behind her door. The old woman approached Maria and handed her a small slip of paper. "Here's the number. Excellent specialist. Highly recommend." After some hesitation, Maria finally called the witch and arranged a meeting. A few days later, the woman was sitting in the kitchen of a completely ordinary apartment. The absence of classic attributes, magic balls, black cats, skulls, gloom, and candles gave hope that she wasn't a fraud. "Let's see a photo of your daughter. Like this." The woman took out a thin crystal on a chain. She moved the pendulum over the photograph, then glared at Maria. "Are you joking? Are you mocking me? Why did you bring me a photo of a dead person? She's not alive. Look at how the pendulum reacts." "Are you trying to test me?" Maria screamed. Tears flooded over her like a heavy wave. The woman jumped up from the chair and ran out of the apartment in a real panic. Maria pulled out her phone and called her daughter. "Hello, Mom," the girl began without greeting. "I'm home now, but at 5 I'll go out. Will you be there by then? Are you okay? Everything all right? My daughter." Hearing her voice, Maria sat on a bench. "Don't go anywhere today. I'll be there in an hour." "Inna, how is this possible?" Maria whispered to her friend in the evening. "Don't tell me I'm overreacting. You are," Inna said confidently, tying her hair into a ponytail. Don't go where you shouldn't. Everything's fine with your daughter. It will stay that way. The next day, the witch Maria had recently visited called her. Reluctantly, the woman answered. Hello, Maria. First, forgive me. I acted unprofessionally. Too many people want to test my gift. Secondly, your daughter is alive and well. When you left, I double-checked everything. Someone hid your daughter from death. Understand? A strong spell protected her. Someone tried to trick the old woman with the scythe. That's why the pendulum showed the girl as dead. Death cannot take someone who is alive. Maria was silent, struggling to comprehend the news. Here's what I found out. Upstairs, there are laws of their own. The higher beings can make agreements among themselves, or with special people like me. They can leave one person but take someone else. Your daughter is that someone else. She was promised to death. It could have been anyone, even your great-great-great-grandmother. Time means nothing to the higher beings. They promised that after generations, a specific child could be taken. Maria realized everything had worked correctly. The ritual succeeded. Her daughter was hidden, declared dead, but alive. 13 years ago, Maria woke up at a train station without documents or memory of her past. She had to start her life anew. Fate was kind. She found her husband and her loyal friend, Inna. No, Maria sharply told the witch. I won't come. The darkness is gone. My daughter will be fine. I need nothing else. The witch hung up, thoughtful. Everything was connected. Rita's sister had already left the hospital, fully healthy. You shouldn't have made the deal, her sister shouted. Who did you sacrifice? My future child. No problem. I don't want children, Rita replied. You shouldn't have risked your life, Inna said, hugging Rita. You will forget everything, but you will be fine. And your child too. I will protect you both. In the remote Alaskan settlement of Frostline, there was one unspoken rule. A rule unwritten, yet absorbed with a mother's milk. The rule of silence. No, not the silence of a winter night. The silence on the airwaves. I'm Leonard, a young doctor, sent here for a 2-year northern contract. And I learned this rule my very first week. Every cabin had an old radio, and every single one was locked onto one frequency, the daily weather report. Trying to tune anything else was frowned upon. Touching the shortwave band was considered a deadly sin. I didn't get it. I saw old women make the sign of the cross while passing the communication tower. I saw hunters, men who feared neither wolves nor blizzards, go pale whenever static slipped into the radio. They weren't afraid of what they might hear. They were afraid of what they might recognize inside the noise. The truth came suddenly and terribly. An old hermit named Cormac, a lonely man, half out of his mind, decided to break the taboo. His grandson sent him a brand new Chinese radio with an unlocked tuner. That night, the entire settlement woke up to eerie murmuring sounds coming from his cabin. We entered without knocking. Cormac sat in the middle of the room, hugging the radio. From the speakers poured more than white noise. Fragments of voices, melodies, whispers swam inside it like fish in murky water. And Cormac was talking back, not to us, to someone only he could hear. Yeah, I remember. Buried it behind the shed. No one ever found it. He nodded. The men didn't scold him. They looked at him with the heavy pity reserved for someone already condemned. They took the radio, smashed it on the floor, and led Cormac away, gently, as he smiled that strange, distant smile. "Where are you taking him?" I asked our settlement chief, Stephen. "To the listening shed," he said quietly. That's what they called the abandoned barrack beneath the radio tower. Those who heard too much were taken there. No one ever returned. What did he hear? What's in that static? Stephen looked at me heavily. "You're a doctor. Treat the living. Don't meddle in the affairs of the dead. Silence is the only thing keeping us alive here." But I couldn't leave it. I was a doctor. I saved people. That night, I sneaked into the medical storehouse, where an old military radio was locked away. I broke the seal, carried it outside, far from the cabins, put on the headphones, and slowly tuned into the forbidden band. White noise. Then, a voice, soft, crying. A child's. "Mama, it's cold." Another voice followed. A man, annoyed. "You never mind your own business." Then dozens, hundreds, a layered whispering chorus. They weren't yelling. They were telling their stories of death, a choir of the dead. And I finally understood why Frostline feared the airwaves. But I didn't stop listening, because I was searching for one voice, my brother's, a geologist who vanished in these lands 5 years ago. And so I listened. Night after night, I became like Cormac, recording voices, organizing them. I learned who really killed the hunter blamed on a wolf attack. I learned where the missing radio operator was buried. Knowledge crushed me, cut me off from the living. Then I heard him, my brother's voice, faint but insistent. "You're searching the wrong place, Leo. Under the old survey marker, the map. Don't trust them." Leo. Only he called me that. A survey marker. I knew where it was. Next supply run, I turned off course. Found the rotten wooden post. I dug through frozen soil for hours, until I struck a metal tube. Inside, his field journal, and a map. I read it, and felt cold horror wash over me. He wrote that beneath the permafrost lies a massive crystalline monolith, not from Earth. It records the final neural patterns of every dying creature within hundreds of miles, then broadcasts them into the airwaves. But the worst part, it's learning, he wrote. It's analyzing, calculating probabilities. It's forming consciousness. The last pages, we miscalculated. The suppression experiment failed. There's only one way. Overload it. Flood its channels with information so chaotic and alive that it destabilizes its structure. I'm heading to the tower. If I fail, whoever finds this, finish it. The transmitter password is your birthday. I'm sorry, Leo. I understood. He didn't vanish. He sacrificed himself. I returned to Frostline. The voices grew clearer, sharper, calling me by name. The monolith was waking up. I had no choice. I found the old transmitter, entered the password. It hummed alive. But what should I broadcast? And then I knew. The only weapon against the record of death is the record of life. I set maximum power, took the microphone, and spoke. My name is Leonard. I was born in Anchorage. My mother baked the best cranberry pies. My brother taught me how to tell minerals apart. I told everything. My life, my failures, my joys, my fears. The voices tried to drown me, but I kept speaking, and they fractured, glitched, repeated themselves. A living story breaking a dead system. I spoke for hours, and then the receiver fell silent. Total, perfect silence. I did it. Years passed. I stayed in Frostline, became its doctor, and its silent guardian. And whenever whispers return, I sit at the transmitter and tell the next chapter of my life. I am the keeper of silence, a living man, forever fighting the quiet.